What's happening, everybody? How y'all doing? I'm here to give you guys my first recap and impressions on Sword Art Online Alicization, if anything. So yeah, I might have mispronounced that. Mispronounced Alicization. Is it Alicization or something? If I mispronounce it, please correct me politely, okay? I mean, there's a lot of words that I may not know how to pronounce correctly. But aside from that, I'm pretty sure you guys might be asking me right now, why the hell did your recap take so long to do anyway? I mean, come on now. I mean, the first episode was about an hour long. Add no advertisements or commercials, it'll be a little bit longer. So yeah, it was about like 48 minutes, if anything, if you really have to know. But overall, I think it had a somewhat of a nice start. Now, it's gonna be a little confusing. So I'm gonna start with the first 24 minutes of that recap. I'll try to summarize some details here and there, but don't expect a lot. I think so. If my recap's a little bit long or short, please forgive me. So if anything else, let's just get this started. We have to it that Kirito is chopping down a tree with a kid named Yu-Gi-Oh, and they seem like to be very good best friends and wrestling each other just to freaking tease each other. But eventually it gets broken up by Alice, who's like, what the hell are you two boys doing? Okay, it's not like in the PG language of how I said it, but in a certain way, like, why you guys are slacking off? Knock it off, will ya? And we see to it that they end up having to like take a break and end up having to like eat some lunch, you know? So I go like, oh, that's pretty cute, etc. But apparently we see to it that they have to hurry up and finish the meal, otherwise it gets spoiled. Kirito, on the other hand, has an idea how to maybe preserve our food a little bit longer so it doesn't rot away. And of course, like Alice and Yu-Gi-Oh's like, what idea is that supposed to be? And he asks him like, do you remember something about a story about some kind of human having to enter a dragon layer's tomb whatsoever and try to grab a sword or something? And they end up remembering that, of course, and we see to it that eventually Kirito says, let's go to the cave, grab some ice, and that's about it. I'm pretty sure the dragon won't be so upset about that, but if we do see it, we're gonna run like hell. Obviously. But Yu-Gi-Oh was against the idea, but apparently Alice believes it might be a good idea to preserve all of the villagers' food, you know, so it doesn't have to rot and we might be able to live out. And of course, the next day they go to a cave and they end up having to have some light thanks to Alice's Chun's magic abilities, if anything. And we see to it that eventually they continue their journey in the cave and they end up finding a lot of ice. And eventually they end up finding the dragon's bones, which is all bones. Sorry, I am so terrible. Forgive me. Aside from me being off topic right now, they end up also finding a blue sword, which is actually related to the story of the human trying to take a sword. But apparently, it was too heavy for Kirito to even carry, you know? So he leaves it there, so they decide to grab some ice and go back. But apparently, they went to a different direction, and they end up seeing a dark territory. They end up seeing a fight between two dragon warriors. One that's an Integrity Knight, the other one is a Dark Knight, which is an enemy to the Integrity Knight. Forgive me. And Alice, after seeing the Black Knight having been shot by an arrow, maybe seeing the guy trying to reach out, calling for help, Alice, oh my gosh, what the hell is wrong with her? I was pretty annoyed and upset that she tried to maybe help him, but all of a sudden she fell over and her hand touched the dark territory. And it looks like to me taboo, you know, you're supposed not to cross the territory at an age like yourself. Eventually, that punishment comes about next day where Alice is to be taken, interrogated, and executed. Kirito wants to stop that, and Yu-Gi-Oh wants to help out too, but all of a sudden when he tries to help out, something about system alert is on his eye, and it looks like to me he's unable to do anything, etc. And we see to it that Kirito screams out Alice's name, and all of a sudden we go back to the real world where Kirito was at, and that's the first half. So pretty much, you know, it looks like Kirito entered some kind of different world whatsoever in the first half, and he ends up waking up after Alice is taken away because she broke a taboo of having to cross the dark territory. Of course, Kirito and was trying to go down with her because I go like, you're not, etc., or tries to save her. But, that did not work out so much. So yeah, pretty much that was the first half. Something about a new world that Kirito dived into, and all of a sudden he wakes up all of a sudden after Alice gets taken away. I know, sounds a little bit crazy, but if you guys watch the episode, or if you guys are light novel readers, you know where I'm trying to get at here. Sorry for being complicated to only those who are anime onlys or just watching this recap just for the hell of it, because you don't want to watch a whole hour or 48 minutes of the episode. Aside from that, now I could get to the second half. The second half involves, at the beginning, was Shinnonon, or should I say Shinnon? I don't know why I say Shinnonon, maybe because Asuna makes it so easy for me to remember that name, obviously. And we see to it that they end up fighting some PK players, and Klein, along with like Liz, I think, and the little girl that likes the pet dragon whatsoever, ends up also helping out too, And of course, we see to it that eventually Shinnonon asks Asuna and Kirito for a meeting, As for Kirito, he actually knocked out a bit in the game because he was at his part-time job. Of course, Shinnonon does meet up with Kirito first and goes like, hey, you seem like you lost a lot of weight. And she ends up explaining to Kirito about this guy named, what's his name? Whatever his name is, he is a very powerful combatant in BLB right now. And he is really like an opponent that you should not try to undermine at all, because that's how strong he is and how terrifying he is, etc. Of course, I do remember seeing his name in the top list where Shinnon is like maybe 2 places behind him or 1 place behind them. Maybe, I don't know. But all I know is like Shinnon, and overall, without a lot of detail given, Shinnon asks Asuna and Kirito for help for the upcoming BLB tournament that's coming at the end of the year in their timeline. And she goes like, okay, I'll help out. And they end up asking about Kirito's job whatsoever, etc., And we see too that Kirito tries to explain it in a certain way, and they think it's like related to Ogma. Now, I know all you guys might be confused and go like, what is this Ogma that I just mentioned? If you guys watched the movie of Sword Art Online last year, which I did last night, thank goodness of that, you will understand where that Ogma word came from. But enough of me being off topic. They think it might have dealt with something like Kirito's memories, but that's not really the case. And this is where it gets interesting, and I get a lot of info from it. And this is where I decided to dive into it and take as many information as I can, Do you know anything about something about a soul translator technology whatsoever? And of course, like, they go like, what is that exactly? So Kirito asks a question, and he answers them by saying, where do you think the human soul is located? And Shinnonon's like, from the heart or the brain? And Kirito asks, like, the brain is more or less a clump of brain cells, right? So where among the brain cells does the soul exist? And he further explains that by saying all cells, including brain cells, are supported by a structural network. And apparently they're called microtubules, And tubes, in other words, hollow pipes, And eventually he ends up explaining that this fluctuate photon light was actually playing with me when I was in this new part-time job whatsoever. And he also says like that's what compromises this human soul according to Wrath, this fluctuate photon kind of thing. I know all you guys who are just anime onlys might be confused about this, but to light novel readers or those who actually looked into this information that Kirito was trying to explain, you guys might get the idea, and it may not make sense. But for me, it's just a little interesting in terms of fictional information. But aside from that, Asuna asks a question like, you mean that cluster of light is like the human soul, right? And Kirito's like, yeah. And at Wrath, the thing that might be the human soul is known as the flux light, So something about SDL or something writes the short-term memories onto the flux light to insert information of their sights or sounds it wants to experience, Compared and differentiated with something about the aura spiel whatsoever, which Asuna mentioned, it's something like some kind of mnemonic visual data. It's like you think you're dreaming for a couple of hours, but it's only a few minutes here and there. And Kirito explains that he had memories of his test dives here and there at the very beginning, but when it comes to the other stuff, it's like it's all disappeared, that kind of thing. Eventually, after explaining the system whatsoever that Kirito takes his part-time job in, they end up taking separate ways, and Shinnon will go like, okay, I'll call you guys later, alright, about the BOB tournament. Eventually, with Kirito and Asuna alone, Kirito explains to Asuna that he wants to go to America after explaining a couple more things here and there, and that he wants Asuna to come with her, you know? I mean, come with him. What the heck's wrong with me? Sorry. I'm so being off point today, etc. or being off today. But eventually, they end up having to like have a little small talk here and there, and they agree, you know? But eventually, on the way home, they get attacked by someone called Johnny Black, which apparently is one of the Laughing Coffin members from SAO. And apparently he's the guy who apparently has a grudge against Kirito, you know? And we see to it that eventually, like, Kirito was really going, what the hell are you doing here? And Johnny Black is like, what do you think? I'm here to kill you. I got some poison to give you. But eventually, Kirito pushes Asuna out of the way. He ends up stabbing the guy with the umbrella, but apparently he gets hit by the freaking like poison whatsoever that the guy that looks really similar here and there. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. Why couldn't Kirito just dodge the guy's arm and then just stab him with the umbrella on the leg or somewhere that could paralyze the guy in pain for now? But you know that's not really the case, and I think things would have been totally different if that did happen. But aside from that, Asuna screams out Kirito's name as he's on the ground, and we end up going to the credits, which is the opening song, and it plays out. And I love that song because it's from Lisa, and honestly, if you guys know Lisa, she sings a lot of songs, and it would be very strange if you didn't, unless you don't watch a lot, and I can understand that. But aside from that, yeah, that's about it for the second half. So, preview the next title of the preview of the next episode. Don't remember the title as usual, but pretty excited for it, you know. Yeah, what I say might be a little bit strange here and there after being confusing, but aside from that, looking forward to see where this arc goes. Apparently, a lot of people say that this arc right here is like somewhat of a better improvement compared to the first the first couple arcs of SAO, which I myself do not know that myself, because like I know like SAO has its issues here and there, and I remember spoiling myself very badly about this arc here and there, so I don't know how this is gonna go. But in terms of action and everything else, I think it'll be very neat, and I'm pretty sure the fighting choreography would be good as well. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be nice, along with its fluid animation and detailed art, hopefully. But aside from that, in terms of like writing and everything else, I'm not so sure about that in general. But we'll have to see. So an overall summary without a lot of detail. First half of the episode involves Kirito being part of some kind of soul translator world with Alice-chan taken away after breaking a certain taboo when they went to go grab some ice and try to escape the cave. And the second half involves being involved with the little BOB style fight whatsoever, and Shinnon meeting up with Asuna and Kirito explaining what his part-time job is and something about the soul translator. And then the end of the episode is where Kirito gets attacked, he gets poisoned, and he gets knocked out possibly, and he stabbed Johnny Black or something, etc. And the opening plays. So that's about it. Not too bad for a good start for this arc right here, but one thing for sure is like I'm pretty sure it's gonna get more intense later. I mean, I did say that I did spoil myself after having too much curiosity of what's going on in the arc, you know? I mean, can't help it, but don't remember much, but I look forward to see where this one goes. So, until then, I will see you guys in my next video. So, I'm Alpha0 people. Have a good day, and all you SAO fans, etc. I hope you guys have much fun with this season of SAO, etc. and enjoy having a blast. So until then, peace out. Bye bye. Toot toot.